Hey book friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my September wrap up. You guys, I read 10 books this month and some of them were like really surprising and others were very disappointing. But I'm gonna share all that with you. So let's just hop into my thoughts on the books I read in September. Hey friends, my name is Angie. Welcome back to the channel, all the things. Now, like I said, I'm going to be chatting through all the books I read in September. Some of them were in a reading vlog, not too many, just the romances, because I have been recently investigating my preference in romance books. Now, 2025 has been an amazing reading year, but September wasn't so much. I do have a couple amazing books, but I have some that were just like, meh. Actually, let's start real quick with the DNF. So this was part of the romance vlog, and so I will link it above in case you want to see some of my in-depth thoughts, but I'm going to just try and hit the high points in this wrap up on some of those books. But I did DNF this book, so it's You Again by Kate Goldbeck, and I was reading this for the friends to lovers trope. I wanted to kind of investigate that, and this book had a lot of those elements. So it was about our main character of Ari and Josh. Due to a chance encounter, they got off on their own foot and pretty much hated each other. And then over time, they would kind of come back into each other's orbit. Now, that wasn't why I didn't like this book. That premise actually sounds very interesting. It still sounds very interesting. I didn't like our main characters either. Mostly Ari, her general personality, and I didn't love how sexual this book was. Not just spicy times, pervasively throughout this book. And it just became so much that it made it not interesting for me. I didn't want to pick it up. I didn't care about the characters. So that's my DNF for the month. And now we can talk about some of my 3-star books. And so I realize I really don't give out 2 stars or 1 star. If it gets below a 3-star, I just stop reading because who cares, right? But I do have some 3-star books here. Let's start with this one, which I feel like is such a popular book. And I feel like so many people ranted and raved about this book, and I thought it was okay. There was some aspects of it that I really did enjoy, but then a lot of it I was like, the conveniences of this book, like some of the things that happened, I couldn't stand it. Okay, so this was about our main character of Ren and Cross Redden. And so Ren is modified, it's called in this world. And so this is a dystopian fantasy romance, and the world is set up based on the fact that there was like this toxin released into the atmosphere or something like that, and it resulted in some people becoming modified in the sense that they kind of had these like psychic abilities and different powers. And in this world, the modified are hunted by the establishment or the people in power. And Cross Redden is the son of the guy in power, and his sole job is to really seek out modified people and like imprison them, torture them, all these things. And based on a set of circumstances, Ren is discovered, but not totally. She is suspected of being modified, and that lands her into this academy that specializes in hunting down modifieds. And so she then goes kind of undercover. So that's what the general book is about. Now, there's a romance, and I knew going in that this was going to be more romance heavy than say dystopian heavy, because I had heard that in the reviews. So I went in with kind of that appropriate awareness, which did help in my reading. I feel like I enjoyed the romance at first. I enjoyed the tension that was between our 2 main characters, but there was just so much about this book where, one, our main character just made such a stupid mistake. Usually when I hear people say that in reviews, I'm like, oh, I'm sure it makes sense. It's like, no, it didn't make sense in this book. That aggravated me, and it very much felt like a plot device. And then there was another thing that was just so very convenient that was like, oh, I wonder who that person is. I hope it's not this person, kind of idea. And I don't want to spoil anything or give anything away, but those things just drove me nuts. And I was like, I have read much more clever fantasy books as well as fantasy romance books, and this just wasn't it, in my opinion. But that's, again, my opinion. So this got a 3-star, and that was being generous. Okay, I also picked up this book on a whim. My sister gave it to me because it has a fake dating trope, which I kind of like. In this case, it's like a fake marriage, arranged marriage sort of situation. Our main character of Luella lives in this town on the borderland. The elf king comes and takes a human bride because for some reason the magic is failing on the elvish side, and the human queen has like magic, and Luella is found out to have that. She wasn't prepped in any way. It was kind of hidden from her, so she goes into this marriage kind of kicking and screaming, and she's taken away from everything she knows into this elvish world with this very cold elf king. And the story progresses from there. There is an overarching plot which they are trying to solve. Really the kind of magic problem is what they're trying to solve. I gave this 3 stars only because I just wasn't connecting with the characters, and I wasn't believing the romance, or I wasn't rooting for the romance. I didn't care as much. And I like Elise Kova's writing. Did I say this? It's called A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova, which I like her writing. I just didn't like this one. And that's fine because I've read a number of other books by her, which I have loved immensely. So this was just a miss for me. Some more popular books that are in the 3 stars for me. I think I ended up giving this like 3.5 rounded down to a 3, and that is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. Now this book I am still vacillating on. I read this with my Discord group. Our reading challenge has a buddy read. It's always linked down below. This is what we read in September. Generally speaking, this is about a summer camp. This is about a rich family who owns a summer camp. And in our present day timeline, the daughter, Barbara, who's like 13 or 14 or something, wants to go to the summer camp. She's a little bit of a troubled teen and all this, and her parents let her go. And then she goes missing. But at the same time, interwoven within that story is the fact that I think it was like 12 years earlier, her brother Bear had gone missing in the same woods, and he was never recovered. Like the case was still open, sort of idea, and now she's gone missing. And so I found the story and the mystery generally intriguing. Like I really wanted to know what happened to Bear, the little boy. He was like 8 years old. What I didn't love about this book was the fact that there was so many points of view and everything was overlapping in points of view and then in time. So it was not sequentially told, which a lot of times I love that kind of story. But this just felt like so convoluted. I just was getting fatigued by it. It's kind of the best way to put it. I don't know if it was just me in the time I read this, because I did finish it and I did like it. I just was frustrated with it and I felt like I wasn't always reaching for it because of those reasons. And I honestly almost DNF'd it halfway through, and then I just kind of powered through and enjoyed it. I enjoyed the reveal. I enjoyed the mystery. And honestly, I can't give you my major complaints on this because that would be very spoilery, but 3.5 stars is kind of where I landed on it. It's definitely a good story and I can see why people like it, and I can see why people don't like it. All right, so the last 3-star book I read in September was like a 3.5. And the hard thing about this book is it was like 4.5, 5-star book at the very beginning. I was really enjoying it. It's an author that I go back and forth on, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I finally picked this up. I've been intrigued by it for a while. Like I've generally liked her STEM romances, especially Love Hypothesis. I like those books. I like her writing. I think she tells a good romance. Our main characters of, what's her name again? Misery. I should have remembered that. Misery is a vampire. Lo is a werewolf. She is like a vampire, not princess. She's just the daughter of the councilman who kind of runs the vampire district in the city, and there's a werewolf and a human district, and they're all infighting. And so there has to be a marriage of alliance pretty much between the wolves and the vampires, and it happens to be her and Lo, and they have to start kind of living together and dealing with each other. The thing about this book is it is very romance. It's much less fantasy, more romance, which is what I knew going in, so I was totally fine with that, and I really was enjoying their romance. Like I felt like she was an innocent, sheltered person, and he brought out good things in her, and I was there for it. I was enjoying it until I wasn't. And I feel like I was talking about this in my romance vlog. I struggle with that like 3rd act breakup a bit. I'm working on that. But this book took that even further, where it didn't make sense to me, that 3rd act breakup, or the way that he was treating her during that time in the book, that just kind of made me mad. And I was like, no, that didn't line up with how I was tracking their relationship. And that just kind of ruined the book for me. Like it just took it from something that I was really enjoying to something I was just kind of mad about. And so I'm giving it 3.5 stars, rounded down to a 3. So those are my 3-star books. I've only had like a handful of 3-star books all year. To have 4 in 1 month is just not my speed. But I did read some 4-star books, and I have a couple 5 stars. And so I read the second book in the Assistant to the Villain series. This is called Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Meyer. I always screw that up. This is following Evie and the villain, and it basically picks up right where the first book left off. And in the first book, since I can't tell you too much about the second book, but in the first book, our main character of Evie becomes the assistant to a man called the villain, who is seeking revenge against the king, basically, for reasons that we don't totally understand and we learn more about here. And Evie is trying to take care of her family. Her father is sick, her sister is younger, and it's just the 3 of them, so she really needs work. And she starts working for the villain because that's all there is for her. But what I love about the series is Evie, and I love the villain, and I love their interactions. I love how quirky she is, but strong, and I love how he doesn't want to be with her, but he does, and it's just sweet and wholesome and fun. And I feel like this lands more in the like YA fantasy romance. So 4 stars, loved it, such a good book. So the next book I gave 4 stars, just a solid 4 stars, was this book, which is a fairly new book. I think it's a 2025 new release. It was on my fall TBR. I was really excited about it. And it was really fun. It's called The Glittering Edge by Alyssa Valaire. It's her debut novel. It is a YA witchy fantasy type book, and it's really enjoyable. Our main character, Penny, lives in this town where there's this feud going on between these two families that dates back a number of different generations. Now, Penny is not involved until her mom becomes involved. Like, there's an accident and she's in the hospital, and she believes it has to do with these two and their families, and the fact that one of them, the DeLuca family, is said to be witches, and she believes that he can help her. He being Alonzo DeLuca. And then on the other family, there is Corey, and they very much hate each other, these two boys, but they come together to help Penny. It's a little complicated and convoluted, but they form this kind of temporary truce to work together. And it is a little love triangle-y, but not terribly. It was never a like, oh, I wonder which one she's gonna choose. But there was still tension and yearning and YA wonderfulness. I wouldn't say I have a ton of complaints other than the fact that I feel like this is compared to Raven Boys. I'd say the Raven Boys is the biggest comparison, but also like Practical Magic. But I feel like those two books are some of my favorite books, and they did it better than this, but this had such potential and such yearning and just that sweet YA romance that I love. And it's going to be a duology that I feel like she's finishing out next summer. So I definitely will be picking up the second book when it gets published. But The Glittering Edge, it was a fun surprise. After I read that, I kind of deviated from my TBR because I was like, all I want to read is YA witchy books. So I picked back up The Raven Boys. And I had read this before, but it's been a while, and I just want to pick up the whole series this fall. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, but the reread of this was so much fun. So this is about our main character of Blue. Blue is a girl who lives in a family of psychics, but she is not psychic. Then she meets Gansey, and Gansey is a Raven boy. He has this friend group of 4 boys that they are going to this school, but more so, they are seeking out this Welsh king. He has kind of been on this quest his whole life to look for his burial site, look for his body, and they believe it's along these like ley lines, and that's kind of magical lines and stuff like that. And Blue is very much versed in this kind of stuff just because of her family. And so their worlds collide, and it's really fun and it's really interesting, and I love the way this book ended and where it left us, and I'm just curious how and where it's gonna go. So I think I gave this like 4.5 stars. I think the first time I read it, I gave it 4 stars. Second time, 4.5. I usually do that actually upon reread. Okay, but this is the book that surprised me the most. It's not my 5-star books. I think I gave it 4.25. But I read The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrews. This book intrigued me and surprised me, and I did not know what it really was when I picked it up. So it's a YA book, light horror-esque, and there's also a romance, which that combination caught me off guard, but I found that I really liked it. So this is about our main character of Delaney. Now Delaney has always been deaf, and that's been a challenge for her, and so she gets placed into this special school. And it's definitely a magic school, and it has to do with the ability to slip between worlds or slip in time. She kind of right out of the gates meets our main male character of Colton. He has some awareness of her. He has also been told to stay away from her, and that doesn't necessarily happen. And you're kind of watching her struggle in this school, and you're watching her find her place, and then you're seeing as he starts helping her, kind of the bigger, broader plot emerge. It has to do with slipping between worlds, but it also has to do with like what kinds of things can come out of these worlds. It's hard to explain, but I really did enjoy the romance. I enjoyed the tension. It felt a bit forbidden, but it also had that it was always meant to be sort of vibes to it. It just caught me off guard, and now I want to read more of her work because I feel like that was kind of fun, like a light horror romance type book. Didn't even know those existed. So this 4.25 stars. It was really fun. Okay. As for my 5-star books, the romance books that I read and loved. Now, there was romances I didn't love, and then there were these 2 books. So good. I'll start with this one because this probably was more favorite, and that's The X-Vows by Jessica Joyce. And so this is a second chance romance between Georgia and Eli. Now, they were part of this friend group. There's only 3 of them and their best friend, Adam. They grew up together. And then Eli and Georgia started dating, kind of early 20s, and things went badly and they were broken up. And that's been like 5 years since that. And then Adam is getting married and he wants both of them involved, and the wedding is kind of going terribly. And so they, as like the best man and best woman, are in charge of saving it, and they have to do it together. So there's some forced proximity. There's a lot of bringing up old trauma and working through it. I feel like what I really liked about this book is the realness behind it, the actual emotions, the ability for both characters to see what they could have done wrong, for them to also be going through therapy, for them to be struggling with some of the things about themselves and be able to be vulnerable with each other to work it out. 5 stars. Like, it will be on my best of the year list. Is it my favorite book? I'm not sure, but I just really loved it. I resonated. Now this book I also really loved. I probably resonated more with this character than this one, but this was so much fun. This is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. Hazel's hysterical. That really is what got me in this book. So it's about our main character of Hazel, who is just a lot. That's what a lot of people say. She's just too much. And so she has always kind of tried to dampen herself down until she's gotten to a point where she's like, you know what? This is just who I am. Nobody's probably going to accept me for being this crazy, but I'm not going to dim my brightness, if you will. And so then Josh enters back into the picture. So Josh and Hazel knew each other in college, and she did a number of stupid things in front of him. So she has deemed herself undateable in Josh's eyes. And he similarly was like, that Hazel girl is crazy. But then they end up kind of back in each other's lives. His sister is her best friend. And there's a little forced proximity here where she has to stay at his house, but they're just friends. And they've decided they're going to hook each other up with their best date ever. And they're going to go on all these like dates together. That was probably some of my favorite things. They would set each other up and then go on these double dates, and they were really funny, and I just laughed out loud. I found their interactions really endearing and cute. I feel like this was a little more emotional than this, but it's funny and it was fun, and I highly recommend both of these if you are in the mood for some romances. And so this was more of like the friends to lovers, and this was second chance, childhood friends sort of idea. So those were my books that I read in September. I'm glad I ended on a high note, because now I'm like, it was amazing. And it was. It just wasn't my strongest month because I had a number of 3 stars, a number of disappointing books. Let me know what you think of some of these books, if you have read them, if you agree with my assessments. But if you have nothing else you really want to say, let's do some sort of like grapevine or glass of wine maybe. But anyway, guys, I hope you are doing well. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to, and I will see you in the next video. All right, take care.